Good morning and welcome to Power of Attorney with Latanya Moore. I am really excited, guys, about today's show. I want to first say thank you to all of you that have been sending me in your topics and your questions, and you have been asking me to cover the topics that are really just most important to you and what you guys have going on. So thank you guys so much for doing that. One thing I want to say before we jump right into the topic is that for those of you that don't know, I do have a private Facebook group called 360 Brand Protection. We're building up the group right now, but starting in March, we are going to be having some group only webinars that's going to really have some in-depth training. People that are a part of that group, they get to attend most of my webinars for free, even if they are webinars that people typically pay for. So you may want to go over to 360 Brand Protection with Latanya Moore if you'd like more in-depth training on this content. Things like copyright. It's not just me, right? I'm not the end all be all, but I wanted to make sure that I shared that with you guys up front. So I'm encouraging you guys, go to the 360 Brand Protection Facebook group, join. You must answer all the questions to join the group. We will decline your membership if you do not answer the questions. So we just want to know people are interested, what they're doing. Yes, you do have to provide your email address because we send information through the email as well, because we want this group to be valuable, not just on Facebook or online, but actually offline. So I share lots of information starting in March. I am going to be sharing a lot more information through email. Also, you can actually subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is it's on YouTube, Real Perspectives TV. There's going to be some content there that's not anywhere else. So what's the moral of the story? Connect on all platforms. So again, thank you guys so much for being here with me on Power of Attorney. Make sure that you share this video because, again, today I am going to be giving a lesson on copyrights. I don't know how many people actually inboxed me asking different types of intellectual property questions, but the majority of those questions dealt with copyrights. There are lots of authors. You guys are creating what I call intellectual property, and you guys are thought leaders. So listen, I want to make sure that you are protected. So I'm giving you guys the opportunity to share this video. And while we're sharing the video, I'm just getting set up here. Sorry about that. Okay. So today, again, we are going to be talking about a lesson in copyright. So for those of you that don't know, we're going to talk about what is a copyright, because some people, they hear it, but they don't really know what it is. I'm going to be giving you some great nuggets of information. So I want you guys to be equipped so that you are ready to make sure that you are on your brand protection journey. So let's jump right in, guys. Again, welcome to Power of Attorney. Today's show is going to be a little lesson on copyright. So first thing, what is a copyright? Okay. A copyright is the exclusive legal right given to an originator, right, to use, designate the use, or designate to use, to print, publish, perform, film, record, etc., or distribute your work. Okay, your work, meaning the work that you originated, meaning your creation. Okay, very important. And I'm saying that because some people want to copyright other people's stuff when you know that you're not the one that created it. So I'm really talking to the people that have originated content. Okay. The second thing, what does it protect? So the copyright protects intellectual property, right? So for those of you that are authors, guess what? For those of you that create these great trainings and webinars, that material is copywritten material, right? Now, the great thing about it is that most people don't think about that. So those of you that are here on the video, you're going to get a great nugget. You have to also be mindful that when you go and do speaking engagements and you prepare your presentation, whether it's just a speech, whether it's off the cuff, guess what? That is still your intellectual property, right? It should be copywritten, okay? I know some people say, oh, listen, it should be copywritten. So I want to make sure that you guys understand that, because sometimes we don't consider certain things to be intellectual property, right? We don't understand that when we go and do, let's say, a speaking engagement for one of our friends, or guess what? If you come on my show, right, and you're doing something that is based on your thought leadership, that's copywritten information, right? And the reason that I want to make sure that you really get that is because you may say something here that somebody else may take and try to utilize for their own gain. It's even happened to me. And so a lot of times people are like, oh, that happens to you. Yeah. I mean, people do that sort of stuff all the time. So it's very important that you protect your information. So I really want to spend a lot of time, though, on what's not protected. And let me say this. When I say what's not protected, I mean in terms of copyright. It may be protected as under trademark. It may be protected under patent. It may be protected under some other form, right? Trade secrets, things like that. So when I say this, it doesn't mean that there's no protection, right, in the world for this. What it just means is that it is not protected in terms of copyright. So that is very important that I give you guys that caveat, because I want to make sure that you understand when I say, what's not protected. Okay. So here are the things that are not protected for those of you that may possibly be taking notes. Facts, right? Well, first of all, things that are already in the public domain, right? You got to think about that. It's not protected. Facts, ideas, systems, methods of operations. Sometimes it could be really works that you did create, right? That you may not be able to copyright that because it may have derived from someone else's work. Now that's a little bit deep, but again, that goes back to taking people's information, right? That goes back to like taking people's information and then repurposing it to use it for yourself. You can't then turn around and copyright that, okay? Because guess what? It is not your original information. Remember, I told you guys at the top of the hour, copyrights derive from an originator. This is very important. It derives from an originator. So that's very, very important that you get that. So again, facts, ideas, systems, methods of operations, and things that you took from other people, you can't then turn around and copyright it, okay? Now, here's the great thing about a copyright. In essence, it is actually protected at the moment of creation, meaning when it comes from your head, right, into, I guess, the reality domain, right, for lack of a better word, that means that it is already protected at the moment of creation. Now, not just the moment of creation, but it must be in a fixed, tangible form, right, that's perceptible directly or with the aid of a device. So what does that mean? That means that if you write it down, right, it is now, quote unquote, protected. And we're going to talk about what that really means in legal sense. But just know that you have now put out something to show that you are the originator. So again, the copyright, okay, is established. Now, let me push and say this. Do you have to register it to be protected? Technically, no. And I want to spend a little bit of time on this because when you put a workout, right, as long as there is a designation that you intend to copyright this, right, you technically are protected. I'm saying technically because if someone steals your stuff and they go ahead and they use it, right, when they steal their stuff, when they steal your stuff and they go ahead and use it, if you want to sue them in court, you must have a registered copyright first. This is why I always tell people, yeah, does it have to be registered? No, but people will steal your stuff. So you want to make sure that you have it registered, because that is the only way that you have legal standing to bring a claim. Okay, that's vital, because what you got to understand, like a lot of people, they go out here, they have some amazing things, but guess what? They don't protect it. So then you turn around and you have people doing the exact same thing, and then they get upset. But guess what? You didn't protect the information, and they were not placed on notice that there was an intent to protect it. See, that's going to be their argument. They're going to say, well, this was just out there. I didn't know that LaTanya didn't expect for me to steal her information. Now, quite frankly, you would want to say, really? But that's the truth, right? So when you create anything, you want to put yourself in the best legal position to be able to defend that, right? Because here's the thing. You may not be able to stop them from using it, but if you have not put that copyright in place, you now have no interest in the profits or the proceeds from your original idea. See, now we're talking money, right? So this also protects your money down the road. It protects your damages claim by saying, listen, this person stole, used, and benefited financially from my copywritten information, my idea. I am the originator. Therefore, I am entitled to a portion of these profits. Actually, the profits, but you know, it just depends. But it all starts with that registered copyright, which is not that much to register, right? So some of you, trust me, you spend more in a month on eating out than it costs to register. And I'm going to tell you where you guys can find out that information at the end of this broadcast. So I kind of skipped ahead because my next point was why you should register. But I want to reiterate the point. You want to register so that if someone takes your idea and they profit from it, right? You want to make sure that you're in the best legal position to get a portion of those profits, or at a minimum, get a portion of the profits. At a maximum, prevent them from being able to use it in the future. Because the problem that you may run into is if you don't copyright it and the other person does, now what? Because you may have prevented yourself actually from being able to even bring a claim, because that's what their attorney is going to say. Well, my client owns the copyright to this. I don't know why we're here. So now you're going to have to turn around and prove that. Now, I know what you guys are thinking. Don't put the poor man's copyright in the comments, because I'm going to get to that. Don't put that in the comments, please. But I'm going to get to that. So here's the thing. If registration occurs within 5 years of creation, it is considered what we call prima facie evidence. That means that you have shown, you have met your burden of ownership, right? That you're looking to assert ownership. Prima facie, you know, it's like these other legal terms that people just don't care about. They just want to know, what does it mean? So what that means is you have met the elements to show an intent to ownership, even if it's 5 years after. This is why when I talk with my clients and I work with my clients on what needs to be copywritten and what they need to do, just pay the money. Just pay the money. I am actually going to be doing a copyright webinar. It ain't gonna be free, but I'm gonna be doing a copyright webinar that goes more in depth into really how to do your own, so that you guys can really be empowered to, especially for those of you that are creatives and you're creating a lot of content, right? You don't want to be in a position where you're paying somebody like me or somebody else $350, $400 a pop, okay? And I'm saying that because now we're in the age of creativity. And so social media, a lot of times people feel like, oh my God, I have this great idea. I have this great concept, and they put it out on social media, only to see somebody else in some other place doing something very similar after the fact. So you got to be very, very careful, guys. You must be very, very careful, guys, in doing that. So again, please share this video, because I'm sure that there are other people that are very interested in this. Now, again, prima facie is when you've met your elements required to prove your ownership rights. Now, let me jump right into this poor man copyright. Now, I know back in the day, people said, well, if you put it in the mailbox and you mail it to yourself and you never open it, that means that it's a copyright, right? To me, that's just like saying, if you put it on Facebook and you never delete the post, right? There's an assertion that you intended to copyright it. Here's the problem with the poor man copyright, which is why it doesn't stand up anymore. I'll tell you in the court of law, is that how are other people on notice of your intent to protect the material? Right? Because everything is not meant to be copywritten. You don't want everything to be, but some things that you do. So you have to think about that. That's the problem with the poor man copyright. Because here's the thing, you can have a poor man copyright all day long. How are you going to prove, let's say, that LaTanya knew about this idea? Because remember, ideas are things that a lot of people come up with similar ideas. So how are you going to prove that LaTanya, who did the proper copyright, asserted her ownership rights, she went ahead and saw everything through? How are you going to prove that LaTanya knew about this idea that you had, and that you had the idea before her, just because you got a poor man copyright? So what's the moral of the story? It's fact. It's fiction now. Back in the day, you probably could have done that. There was probably some type of common law right back in the day. Now you kind of can't claim that. Okay. And so I do consultations on a weekly basis about copyright. 60% are dealing with things on social media. Brand new era. It is vital that you get that. Okay. No more real life poor man copyright. It just doesn't happen like that. You can actually research that on your own. You can see some cases where that's exactly what people did, right? You actually have situations where people have produced music, right? For famous artists. They've produced music. They've sent it in and say, hey, listen to my track. I'd love for you guys to do it. You know what they did? No copyright. They repurposed it, used the track, made millions. They had no standing to bring their lawsuit. Which means, guess what? No entitlement, not just to credit, right? No entitlement to credit, and no entitlement to any of the proceeds. That is very important. You do not want to, listen, it is so cheap, right? To register a copyright, to file a copyright, it is so cheap. Even dealing with a lawyer, it's cheap for attorney fees, right? Because there's not a lot of work into it. Now, if they charge you $500, $600, please go see somebody else. That's way too much. So, okay, last point. Is your copyright good worldwide? Now, here's the thing. This comes down to your registered copyright. Okay, we're talking registered copyright. So in some places, the US has what's called reciprocity, which means I have a copyright in the US. So therefore, my US copyright is just as good in some of these other places. It is not everywhere in the world. Why am I saying that? Some of you are on these global platforms. You're disseminating your books to certain countries, right? Through these global platforms. That's fine. But you really need to know if there is reciprocity between the US and all of these other countries that where you are sending your book. Okay, and I'm just saying book for an example, but it could be other things. It could be music, it could be, things like that. So you want to make sure that you check that out. So now, the plain answer pretty much is no. But I wanted to throw in there with you guys that there is a reciprocity in the sense that if somebody's ripping you off in one of these countries, you have standing to assert your international copyright. Okay, you ownership rights. So you definitely have standing, but only in the countries where there is reciprocity. They honor your US copyright. Okay, not in all places. I want to make sure I'm hitting everything. So, okay, again, caution. Before you release your material abroad, you need to check whether there is copyright reciprocity. If you don't know how to do that, set up a consultation with me. I will show you how, or attend my copyright webinar. So you need to be on the lookout for that. For those of you that are creatives, you're creating material, you like, look, I just need to know what to do, right? Come to the webinar. Okay, the webinar is going to be in April. Come to the webinar. Be on the lookout for that. It's not going to be free. Okay, I'm just being honest. It's not going to be free, but it's not going to be incredibly expensive either. So again, we're going to go through how to do your copyrights. We're going to go through how to check, right, and how to find out if the countries where you're distributing your material has reciprocity. So before I kind of run through where you can find the information on how much the filing fees are for the copyrights and things like that, I want to just run back through very quickly what we talked about. So quick lesson on copyrights for those of you that are just now joining. Don't forget to share this video. What is a copyright? Okay, it is an exclusive legal right given to an originator of a product, right, or a project. Remember, we talked about it. Now, as the copyright holder, you have the authority, because you own it as the owner. You can allow other people to use it. You can designate them if they want to print it, publish it, all of that, depending on what the material is, right? Copyrights protects intellectual property. Now, remember, I told you guys, we're only talking about copyrights. So if I say that something is not protected, for those of you that are just joining us, it means copyright protection. It could be protected under trademark, patent, trade use, all of that, trade secrets, right? So just make sure that you understand that concept. So now what's not protected? Facts, ideas, systems, methods of operations, recipes, right? Those things typically are not covered under copyright. They're covered in other areas, okay? Copyrights are protected at the moment of creation, right? But it must be created in a fixed format, quote unquote, published, meaning it is outside of your brain, okay? It is outside of your brain. Last, do you have to register it to be protected? Technically, no. However, if you want to protect your legal rights, okay, meaning that you want to be able to sue people if they steal it, use it, profit from it, it must be registered, okay? Now, again, that takes us into why register, right? Because if you want to sue and get the profits that you're entitled to, you must have established legal ownership, which is registering your copyright. Okay, and we talked earlier about you have pretty much like 5 years to do that. Do it immediately. Don't wait 5 years. It's not that expensive. Okay, poor man's copyright don't exist, right? You could try it, but remember I told you guys, in order to really have a claim using that poor man's copyright, you got to show that the person was on notice. They knew about it. All of these things are very difficult when you're talking about a poor man copyright, okay? Especially in the face of a person that has done their own copyright. Very difficult to prove, okay? I know it sounds good to pay, what, 42, 46 cents to protect your copyright, but I'm telling you, poor man copyright doesn't exist, okay? Lastly, before we go, your US copyright is generally not protected in the international market. However, the United States has reciprocity with certain countries that will recognize your US copyright, which means you also have a legal right to protect your copywritten material in that country, okay? Reciprocity, okay? Same goes with the folks over there, over here. So again, like I said before, for those of you that have questions about that, you're putting your information in the international marketplace. If you want to learn how to do your own copyrights, be on the lookout for my copyright seminar, okay? Be on the lookout for my copyright seminar that's going to be coming up in April. So I wanted to share that with you. Now, for those of you that want to know more about how much are the fees, right, for the copyrights, how, you know, what do I have to pay? What do the forms look like, and all of these sorts of things, right? You need to go to the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. I always tell people, don't Google copyright, because you're gonna get all these people that's doing this other stuff. So I'm sending you to the government website, uspto.gov. U as in umbrella, P as in private, T as in Tom, O.gov, uspto.gov. I'm actually going to put it in one of the comments. If I can get my computer to cooperate. Okay, that is the official website. For those of you that are on right now, you see it says United States Patent and Trademark Office, right? That's where you want to go. uspto.gov. Okay, there are some other resources, again, that I'll be sharing as part of my copyright seminar. So make sure if this is something that's important to you, that you be a part of that seminar coming up in April. So again, I want to thank you guys so much for being with me here on Power of Attorney. We are here every Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Central Standard Time. And so until tomorrow, have a great day.